Mark Hudspeth's Ragin' Cajuns are in Boise, Idaho for the first time with the Sun Belt's preseason Player of the Year quarterback Terrence Broadway. Matched tonight with Broncos senior QB Grant Hedrick. It's all blue for late night in Boise. From the capital of Idaho, Boise, home of the Broncos, home of the blue turf, Albertson Stadium. It is homecoming night for the first matchup between Boise State and the Ragin' Cajuns from Lafayette. With Aaron Taylor, Jamie Erdahl, I'm Carter Blackburn. Welcome to Boise, Idaho. And when you think about the Broncos, you think about winning, blue turf, and busting the BCS. Well, no longer is the BCS around. Does Boise State have a chance to bust that group of 6 bowls on New Year's Day?
They do, but they're going to have to play a lot more consistent than they've played the last couple weeks, especially with teams like BYU and ECU playing at a high level. Remember, this is a team where the highest-ranked conference champion from the group of 5 has the opportunity to be guaranteed for the New Year's 6 bowls. So Boise needs to be able to control its own destiny, play more consistent, and it just might have a shot at the end.
Well, we usually talk about Boise State in offense, but the defense has been making some headlines in 2014. Last week at UConn, a pair of defensive scores. First, it was Tanner Vallejo, 31-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. And then cornerback Dante Dion with the rip, strip, and 50-yard interception return for a touchdown. Broncos playing aggressive D.
They're amongst the best in the country in certain categories, particularly interceptions and getting after the quarterback. But oddly enough, Carter, they're almost dead last in the amount of yards they're giving up through the air. They've got to be able to shore that up, and that's one of those areas of consistency that we were talking about.
Well, we know what the Ragin' Cajuns want to do. The preseason Sun Belt favorites, they're 1-2, but they have a very talented group of running backs.
Yes, they do. You have to be able to look at what the Ragin' Cajuns bring to the table. 6'1", 240-pound Alonzo Harris is a north-south beast who can push the pile. And sophomore Elijah McGuire, he's the speedster, averaging almost 8 yards per carry. It's going to be incumbent upon Boise to make sure that they wrap up and tackle well tonight.
The Cajuns are on the blue turf for the first time. And for more on that, Jamie Erdahl.
Yeah, Carter, this blue turf, a familiar foe for regular opponents of Boise State, but as you said, a first-time opponent in Louisiana Lafayette. Something was done so rare for the first time in Mark Hudspeth's tenure as head coach at Lafayette. The team went from the airport straight to Albertson Stadium yesterday. Usually they go to the team hotel, but they wanted to give the guys an opportunity to take some pictures, run an informal walkthrough on the field, just to make sure that there was no awestruck component to this blue turf before kickoff tonight.
Mark Hudspeth in his 4th season as the University of Louisiana Lafayette head coach. He has led the Ragin' Cajuns to bowl games and bowl wins each of his first 3 seasons. Preseason favorites to win the Sun Belt, but it's 1-2, and last week they took a drubbing, especially from Bo Wallace and the Ole Miss Rebels. A beautiful night here in Boise, Idaho. What a beautiful day. Got in a good hike earlier today as well. 79 degrees as we prepare for kickoff here at Albertson Stadium. Brian Harsin in his first year as the Boise State head coach, the native of Boise, graduate of Capitol High School and then a graduate of Boise State, was a quarterback for the Broncos, then an assistant coach, offensive coordinator, and now taking over after Chris Peterson's incredible run. Dan Hawkins and Houston Nutt before that. Boise State won the toss and deferred. Ragin' Cajun football first. Dan Goodale's kickoff will go for a touchback. So the Ragin' Cajun offense will take it at the 25-yard line. Our Chick-fil-A starting lineups for Louisiana Lafayette. Terrence Broadway leads the way. The senior from Baton Rouge Capital High School, spent 1 year at Houston. The preseason Sun Belt Player of the Year, but the big number for Terrence Broadway, 6 interceptions.
And he's going to have to be able to make sure he makes good decisions tonight, particularly with the way that Boise gets after the quarterback and has had a penchant for causing turnovers early on this season.
Play action. Incomplete on first down. Flag immediately down. Jeff Hillier from the Sun Belt, our referee.
Number 40 on the defense was in the neutral zone at the snap. Penalty 5 yards, repeat first down.
So 1st and 5 after the penalty on Armand Nance, the junior nose tackle.
Penalties have been something that's plagued this Boise State team early on in the season. Last week it was a little bit better. Certainly Brian Harsin has made it a point of emphasis for his team, and they couldn't have started any worse out of the gate with an offsides penalty on the first snap. Broadway checking at the line of scrimmage.
1st and 5, another flag.
Now, Carter, there's a lot of people that should jump off sides, but it should never be a nose tackle who's over the ball.
Before the snap, false start, 77 offense. Penalty 5 yards, first down.
Interesting.
That's 1 each for the 2 guys playing over the football.
It's going to be left guard Donovan Williams. Armand Nance, you saw him jump right before the snap, and that drew Williams off sides. But now it's a push, 1st and 10. Just a do-over, Carter, like we used to do back in the street playing two-hand touch.
Now finally 1st and 10.
Both offense and defense making checks.
Broadway hands off, and after all of that, nothing doing on 1st and 10. Torrey Pierce, the first ball carrier for the Ragin' Cajun. Nance there on the stop. So the rest of the Chick-fil-A starting lineup for the Ragin' Cajuns from Lafayette. Danielle Quave, the senior right guard, veteran offensive line.
Very experienced offensive line, 4 returning starters. They're going to need to play at a high level tonight. It's imperative, I think, that the Cajuns establish the run tonight so that they can play keep away from this high-powered Boise offense.
Second and 10. Broadway first pass. Bobbled, caught, but minimal gain on the outside. Pettis hauls it in. Thompson there on the stop. Here's the defensive starters for the Broncos. Showed you Tanner Vallejo with the fumble return for a touchdown. The middle linebacker, leading tackler for the true sophomore from Grass Valley, California.
3rd and long situation. Boise likes to blitz. They talked about bringing pressure into Broadway's face. Broadway's an extremely mobile quarterback that can extend plays and has tremendous escapability. He's going to need that tonight against his Broncos defense.
Heavy pressure on 3rd and 10. Broadway hit as he throws. It's incomplete. And the Bronco D forces a 3 and out.
Got to see they're bringing pressure from this side heavy. They just bring one more than the Cajuns are able to pick up. And just hitting Broadway right as he throws the football. That's one of the things that this Bronco defense does a tremendous job of, is getting after the passer and causing interceptions, which is what we talked about at the beginning of the show. And on that first drive, it was all Broncos.
Daniel Cadona's punt, fair caught by Shane Williams-Rhodes. So we see the Boise State offense. Chick-fil-A starting lineup when the Broncos have the football. Grant Hedrick, 5th-year senior from Independence, Oregon, completing 73% of his passes. first half of the year against Ole Miss, 3 INTs. He had 4 in the game. He's only thrown 1 interception since that bad start against Ole Miss.
And you look at Ole Miss, they lead the country in interceptions, so that might not have been a fluke, but he's definitely making better decisions. But make no mistake about it, Boise wants to establish the run first.
Jay Ajayi dropped for no gain. First time he touches the football. Fuquay there on the stop for the rest of the Boise State offense, and it will mostly be through the hands of Jay Ajayi, the junior running back from Plano, Texas.
Yeah, last week he struggled a little bit. Only 39 yards. Was a little tentative on a very wet turf at UConn. See how he runs a little bit differently here tonight at home.
Hedrick first pass complete. Slipping out of the first tackle, Anderson, for his first catch as a Bronco. Ragin' Cajun defense. It is a stout group up front, led by Justin Hamilton, the senior nose tackle.
Keep your eye on number 6 tonight. He is a beast inside. Boise's coaches told us that he may be the best nose tackle and defensive lineman they see all year. And remember, they played Ole Miss with the Condici brothers.
That's Shane Williams-Rhodes making the grab. First down, Boise State. You will see a lot of 11 Shane Williams-Rhodes and a lot of Jay Ajayi.
He's such an explosive playmaker, just running a quick, simple out. He's so quick. One of the things where he's improved his game is he gets north and south. When he first got to Boise, he started dancing around. Not on that last one.
Ajayi pushing across the 45.
A little bit better start than Boise had a week ago, Carter. They really struggled getting into a rhythm. Their first 2 drives were 3 and out, and that's really hard for everybody to get into a rhythm. Offense is about getting into a rhythm, and Boise seems to have found it so far early on in this drive.
Ajayi again on the left side to make it 3rd down and about 4. On the stop there, Marquise White.
Carter, that's one of the base runs that you'll see Boise run a lot. That's just a power where they double team on the play side and pull the backside guard. Ajayi does a tremendous job running those runs because he's patient. He's slow to the hole and fast through it. But that time, that defensive line for the Cajuns held.
Ajayi on the edge. First down, Broncos inside the Cajun 40.
Vision is one of the things that allows Ajayi to be such a good runner. This is just going to be another power, except he bounces it outside. If he sees that he can get to the outside and get to the angle, he can get to that perimeter. He's an inside the tackle runner, but as we saw in that last one, he can also hurt you outside.
16-yard pickup. Ajayi again, this time left side to the 26-yard line. Gain of 9, Fuquay on the stop.
This time that left side of that offensive line being physical and creating some creases, and that's what Ajayi does. He doesn't dance around a lot in the hole. He plants his foot in the ground and moves the chain. Second in a very short couple of inches here.
Ajayi lined up in the slot, empty set for the Broncos. Hedrick on 3rd and short, complete, first down to the outside. That's Jake Rowe against some soft coverage from the Ragin' Cajuns.
And this is something that they did a lot against very physical, speedy, fast receivers. They wanted to come in and pressure a little bit more tonight. But again, you give Grant Hedrick that much time, he's going to find the open receiver. Going through his read progressions is something he's definitely gotten better at.
Ajayi. It's just a couple. TJ Worthy, strong safety there on the stop.
The time down by Christian Ringo.
The Ragin' Cajuns are without their leading tackler, Trey Johnson, senior from Mississippi. And there is no word from Louisiana Lafayette as to why Trey Johnson is not playing tonight, whether it was injury or suspension. All we know is they don't have their leading tackler. Hedrick, complete again to the outside. That's Dallas Burrows. 3rd down coming. Red Zone tonight brought to you by Verizon. 12 trips, 6 touchdowns, 50%. That's not a great batting average for the Broncos.
No, they've got to do a better job of hitting pay dirt when they get down here. Remember, they like a lot of special trick plays. This is an unbalanced formation here, something they like to do a lot.
Pistol, Ajayi, 7th carry of the drive to make it 1st and goal. So Ajayi in the Wildcat, 7th time he has touched it on this opening drive for the Broncos.
Boise State really likes to run the football when they get down in here low. You got to keep your eye on number 27. But Matt Miller, number 2, the wide receiver, has tremendous hands. He's a big, tall target. They like to find him in the corner of the end zone as well.
A Boise State signature huge shift. Ajayi, touchdown Boise State. Jay Ajayi leads the way on an opening drive touchdown for the Broncos. An 11-play drive for Boise State. 8 of those 11 rushes by Jay Ajayi. The Bronco D gets a 3 and out. The Bronco offense 7 on the board after the PAT from Dan Goodale. Jay Ajayi leads the way for Boise State. Touchdown Broncos. Solid start on the blue.
College football on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Miller Lite. Back in its original look, it's Miller time. By True Biotics, a daily probiotic from the nutrition experts at One A Day. And by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Boise, Idaho, one of the fun stops on the tour. 7-0 start for the Broncos.
Keep your eye on these 3 players. Just some tremendous blocks at the line of scrimmage by the tight end Holden Huff, the left guard Travis Averill, and the left tackle Archie Lewis. That's the way to control the line of scrimmage. If Boise can continue to do that, it could be a long night for the Cajuns.
12 plays on the drive, 8 of them Jay Ajayi. Grant Hedrick 4 for 4 passing. Not much resistance from the Raging Cajuns.
That's the fast start that these Broncos were looking for on both sides of the football.
Dan Goodale's kick taken by Montrell Carter for a touchback. Raging Cajuns have the football, needing to regain some kind of momentum. Mark Hudspeth and the Raging Cajuns, Brian Harsin and the Boise State Broncos both got to see the improved Ole Miss team led by Bo Wallace. It was Boise State opening up with a loss to Ole Miss, and then Louisiana Lafayette last week 56-15 in Oxford. Broncos have bounced back.
They've done a really nice job of improving their game, and that's all you can really expect from a team. They're scoring more points. Their defense is kind of settling down. Their defensive line is getting after the quarterback. They're timing their blitzes correct, and what's that leading to is causing more turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. And from a decision-making standpoint, they're also protecting it better on offense across the board. In week 4, Boise's a much better team than Ole Miss saw in week 1.
Raging Cajuns went 3 and out. First time they had it. Terrence Broadway, the QB, out of the pistol, setting up the screen. It is complete. And room to run for Elijah McGuire into Boise State territory to the 41. A 34-yard pickup on the screen.
Excellent play call by Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator. The way to beat the blitz and pressures to run screens, draws, and delays. This is just a simple halfback screen that, with a couple missed tackles, making it a little bit easier. Elijah McGuire hits a huge gain for the Cajuns.
Play fake. Broadway throws it to the sideline under duress from Kamale Correa, the stud, as they call him, hybrid player for the Broncos.
Yeah, Correa had 2 sacks last week. Look at that. He never stops till the play's over. I hate it as an offensive lineman playing against guys like that, Carter, that have motors like that, because they just simply never give up. Number 8 is one of those guys that just gets after it play after play.
Defensive coordinator Marcel Yates told Kamale Correa, if you're going to wear that single-digit 8, you have to make plays if you're a defensive player with a single-digit playing on the line.
He's only got 9 tackles on the year. 2 of those are sacks.
Elijah McGuire, tough running. Looks like he runs right over Darian Thompson, the junior safety.
All of a sudden, when you get a couple big plays on offense, that softens the defense. Now they're playing a little bit more attentive. Think about how aggressive Boise was early on in the first series. Well, they've gotten a little bit away from that, and now the momentum is shifting to the Cajuns. They have to build on that, Carter, and try and get some points here.
3rd and 4. It's Harris in the backfield with Broadway. Fake the sweep, incomplete. Intended for Byrne. 4th down coming for the Cajuns.
This would be a rather lengthy field goal, but when you're on the road and want to get some mojo going against a team as good as Boise, maybe you think that you leave your unit out there and try and pick up these 4 yards and get this 1st down here.
Offense stays on the field for now.
Hooch punt in a situation like this is always an option as well. So if you're a Bronco, you got to be heads up here.
On 4th and 4, Broadway pressured. Almost intercepted. But Boise State takes over. The Cajuns finally able to move it, but Bo Martin and the Boise State defense get it back. Jay Ajayi, the junior running back from Boise State, averages 30 touches a game. On the opening drive for the Broncos, he had 8 of them, all on the ground, including the touchdown.
Boise likes to establish the run first, and what Ajayi brings you the option of is to run inside between the tackles and move the pile, but also has tremendous speed. He's patient, he's got great hands, and a block there by Mario Yaku. He's proven he has an ability to be able to find the end zone. This offensive line for the Broncos tonight, Carter, is humming pretty good.
And when you're Jay Ajayi running behind that line, he told us yesterday, he said, yeah, I am in the ice bath after every practice and then some with the load that he is carrying. Hedrick, deep shot on 1st down. Caught inside the 10. Matt Miller, 1st and goal, Boise State. 57 yards, Hedrick to Miller.
Matt Miller's up here at the top of your screen. He's excellent route runner, runs double moves, just a stutter and go. And the cornerback absolutely bites on it, hook, line, and sinker for the big game.
Hedrick keeps it, fakes the toss, takes it inside the 5, finally wrestled down right around the 3. White there on the stop.
Well, we talked about Terrence Broadway's mobility, but Grant Hedrick is somebody that has tremendous escapability. He's got 6 touchdowns a year ago, or this year already. I mean, he's somebody that when the play breaks down and they need to extend the play, he can get it done.
2nd leading rusher on the team. You know who's first already. And here he is, Jay Ajayi, 2nd touchdown in as many drives for Jay Ajayi and the Broncos. All too easy early for Boise State against the Cajuns.
This is what the Broncos needed to be able to do, Carter, was establish that run, manage their down and distance. They've been fantastic on 3rd down. They're controlling the line of scrimmage. It's just how the coaches draw it up.
Goodell's PAT makes it 14-0. It started Hedrick to Miller.
First of all, this is off play action. We talked about that mobility, but what I love is Grant Hedrick set his feet and hits Matt Miller in stride. You have to be able to credit Trevance Pat, who was a safety that they moved to cornerback this week, being able to recover, but then it was just a walk in the park for Jay Ajayi, again getting to the perimeter, the area. The defensive coordinator, James Willis, told us they wanted to try and force number 27 outside because they thought he was a better inside runner, but they paid for it there.
14-0 Boise State. Let's check in with Brent Stover.
All right, Carter, South Carolina and Vanderbilt. The Gamecocks putting this one on ice. Direct snap to Farrell Cooper. He takes it down to the 1-yard line. They ruled it a touchdown. Then they brought it back. They scored one play later. 2-touchdown lead for the Gamecocks. 2.5 to play, guys.
That's a strong finish for South Carolina there, Brent, after Vanderbilt put a little scare.
Man, Vanderbilt's a team that needs a hug and a role model, man.
Hug and a role model.
Something. They are a team trying to find their way.
And oh, by the way, the other big team from the state of South Carolina doing pretty well. Brent will keep us posted there. Dan Goodale from the 35. It will be another touchback. So Ragin' Cajun football at the 25. Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Jamie Erdahl. Ragin' Cajuns were hoping that some momentum turned around here tonight in Boise after a disappointing 1-2 start. They better get the momentum rolling before it's all Boise State blue.
Yeah, they were the preseason pick to win the Sun Belt Conference. A lot of expectations and a lot of history of them being successful. This is definitely not the start that they wanted.
3 consecutive 9-win seasons under Mark Hedsmith. They were hoping to get a 10-win season this year, set the school record. Elijah McGuire gets 5 there. Ragin' Cajuns were the preseason pick to win the Sun Belt. It's kind of been Arkansas State and Louisiana Lafayette battling for the Sun Belt the past few years, which means Brian Harsin, now the Boise State head coach, when he was at Arkansas State. Cajuns kind of took it to Harsin's Arkansas State team last year.
And they did it by playing keep away. This team held the ball for 42 minutes. They've got to be able to establish a run and try and use that same recipe tonight.
Play fake. Broadway pressured again, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down again. Bo Martin again with the pressure.
Boise's one of those teams that brings pressure from everywhere. Their linebackers are so athletic and so speedy that they bring pressure from everywhere, and that's just Bo Martin coming downhill, bringing the wood. Those types of plays accumulate and get in the mind of the quarterback. Terrence Broadway's got to keep his eyes downfield, trust his O-line, and not worry about the Boise pressure.
Time to throw on 3rd and 5 for Broadway, but he sails it incomplete over the head of Jared Johnson. And that's another 3 and out. That's 5 straight incompletions for Terrence Broadway since the 33-yard pass.
You have to be able to throw the ball where your receiver has a chance to go get it. That play didn't have a chance because of where Broadway chose to throw it. He's only completing 58% of his passes so far on the year. But once again, Boise's defense holds, and the Cajuns are putting themselves in a bind.
Daniel Cadona, the punter from Australia. When he showed up in Lafayette, they had to show him how to put on shoulder pads. Manages to get that one away. Fair catch, Williams Rhodes. There is a flag down, and there looked like some contact with Cadona.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker, number 7 defense. The penalty's 15 yards, automatic 1st down.
Remember, penalties were the things that Brian Harsin was trying to correct for this team. You have to dive out in front of that football in a spot. And you see number 7 there for Boise, Joe Maturano, just making a knucklehead, what they call a foolish penalty. And that could be the spark that the Cajuns need to be able to get some momentum going.
Some extra running perhaps on Monday?
Yeah, he said there were the NOSs, the not our standards. We used to call it voluntary self-adjustment. When you get penalties, you show up really early and run a lot.
Voluntary self-adjustment. Like something out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's incomplete, intended for Butler. Here comes another flag. Dante Dion there in coverage.
It's Dante Dion, one of the better defensive backs.
Interference, number 5 defense. The penalty's 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
It's another NOS.
Had a big game last week, an interception that went for a pick six. It was just some inadvertent contact right at the very end, but he absolutely was all over the receiver. That was a good call by the officials. Boise's really helping out the Cajuns here on this drive.
Back-to-back 15-yarders. Broadway complete, goes right back. Correction, that's McGuire 15. Elijah McGuire on the catch, but in front of Dion.
Yeah, McGuire just came out of the backfield on a wheel route, and there was perfect time for them to be able to find him. They found the soft spots in those zones. Now that the Cajuns are down here in the red zone, they need to be able to find a way to get in there. They're pretty good so far this year, Carter. 92% when they get down here. They desperately need to get a score here to get back in this game.
McGuire puts it on the turf.
That could be an incomplete pass.
And in fact, it is incomplete pass because it was a shovel toss ahead.
You're seeing a lot of teams now run it this way. These fly sweeps, when the quarterback receives the ball and has possession and pitches it forward, it becomes a forward pass like a shovel pass. And they do it for this exact reason, because when you drop it like McGuire did here, it's not a fumble, it's merely an incomplete pass.
Second and 10 for the Cajuns. First trip inside the Boise State 20.
Pressure from the edges.
Broadway pulls it. Knocked out of bounds back at the 21. Loss of at least a couple to force third and long. Dante Dion forces him out.
This is a zone read. When you bring pressure off the outside, it makes it really hard to be able to run this, but every gap was penetrated that time by Boise. They are literally resetting the line of scrimmage, playing on the other side, making it very hard to find any room to run.
Third and long.
They're in that ghost formation where they don't line up. They just kind of like swarming bees there at the line of scrimmage.
Pressure on Broadway again. McGuire out of the backfield, nothing there. Boy, when the Broncos come after you, it can be debilitating for a quarterback to try and pick through that defense.
Certainly makes it very difficult. There was some late seepage there and some pressure at his feet, but I like the decision by Broadway to not try and force a throw, but just take a check down and get whatever you can get and allow your field goal kicker, who's pretty good, to be able to try and put one through the uprights.
Hunter Stover from 38. Low snap. Stover has to pick it up and heave it downfield, and it is caught near the first down. Stover improvising. Stover, the kicker, is a converted linebacker. It was a knee injury that forced him into the role as kicker for the Cajuns. Athletic ability, and it shows off here.
Teams practice this with fumbled snaps, and it paid off. They were both on the same page. Yes, it's a desperation throw, but make no mistake about it. Number 88, Evan Tatford, executed what you're supposed to do in a situation like that, and that was an extremely heads-up play. And once again, the Cajuns keep themselves alive. Wow.
Now a measurement to see if, in fact, it is a first down after the grab by Tatford. Yes, it is. First and goal, Raging Cajuns. What a wild drive. Back-to-back 15-yard penalties by Boise State. Keep it alive for Louisiana Lafayette. Field goal attempt turns into this.
The ruling on the previous play was a first down. That ruling is under further review.
So obviously looking at the spot now upstairs.
Without question, I think that's a first down. Illegal forward pass. Tatford came down with it. And what an unbelievable heads-up play by number 45, Hunter Stover.
Stover actually leads the special teams unit in tackles on kickoffs. And again, he was a linebacker for Louisiana Lafayette. A knee injury, left knee injury, turned him into a kicker. But the Cajun coaching staff talks about a guy who is capable of doing a lot.
He may just be short because of his right knee being down. You can't see where the ball was from that angle. Maybe we can from here. But I can see why they wanted to look at this again, Carter. First angle we saw from the end zone from the back, it looked like clearly he was past the line.
First down marker was at the 7. The replay official.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
Now, replay official J. Bruce Bain, and when you hear the referee on the field say the ruling stands, mean that they are not exactly sure, but they don't have the clear picture to overturn it. So it stands, and it's first and goal, Raging Cajuns.
The Cajuns have to score here. They score here, it gets their confidence back up. You're on the road against a tough opponent. You're a team that expects to win. They have to find a way to punch us in, Carter. Almost seems like destiny with all the breaks they've gotten so far on this drive.
Alonzo Harris in the backfield. Takes it on first and goal. Nothing there on the right side. Armand Nance, the nose tackle on the stop.
Armand Nance playing that nose tackle position. Worked all offseason to get himself a little bit bigger. You see him here dart inside. He's just a physical run stopper. Blows the offensive lineman back. And that's how you play good defensive line. Very explosive with his hands. Look at those big old pipes, low center of gravity. Boise State brings it up front, buddy.
10th play of the drive. Broadway, fade, incomplete. Knocked away by Dante Dion, who had the pass interference earlier. James Butler, the intended receiver.
I think Broadway maybe missed an open receiver to the backside. Butler has to be able to go up and high point that football. But you have to credit Dion with that good inside position. He snapped his head back and made a great play on the football.
3rd and goal. Flags down.
Before the snap, false start, 68 offense. Penalties 5 yards, 3rd down.
The right tackle, Travian Anderson. He's a returning starter here. A junior from Shreveport. He's got a kick a little bit early. It's very hard for an offensive lineman down there in the student section. Those guys are rocking. Very hard to be able to hear the cadence.
3rd and goal. Back out to the 11. Pressure up the middle. Broadway, check down. McGuire hit at the 5, driven back. Ben Weaver leads the charge.
Boise swarming to the football and tackling well tonight. I thought Broadway maybe had an opportunity to run this and use his legs, but he dumps the football out to McGuire, but the blue helmets surrounded him, get themselves off, and now the Cajuns are going to try another field goal.
For the 2nd time, here's Hunter Stover. He is 1 for 1 passing tonight. He has not yet attempted a field goal. This will be for 22. The field goal is good, so the Raging Cajuns are on the board at the end of an odd field goal drive. Still 14-3 Broncos.
Welcome back to Boise. The Broncos with a 14-3 lead, just over 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. The Cajuns unable to get in the end zone on that last drive, and it might be because they were without a prolific offensive threat in senior wide receiver Jamal Robinson. He's missing his 2nd game for Lafayette. He had his knee scoped, his left knee scoped 2 weeks ago. It's a 4-week recovery period, so they are without him. He is on the trip, though. Coach Mark Hudspeth was saying he appreciates his leadership and support that his presence brings the team. Secondly, injury-wise, Carter Trey Johnson, that senior linebacker that is not in the game today, he also has a left knee injury.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Those are 2 big losses for the Cajuns. 1 offense, 1 defense.
I mean, the best player on offense and the best player on defense, and you're on the road against a quality opponent. That would be tough for any team to be able to try to do. Florida State's figured that out tonight.
Now, that was a non-injury. Is that correct? Non-injury?
Mental injury, something.
Yeah.
Man.
Hunter Stover to kick off after a 22-yard field goal. Dallas Burrows out of the end zone. Burrows tripped up as he gets across the 25. We check again. Stover.
All right, Clemson and Florida State tied at 10 in the fourth. Deshaun Watson, 39 yards to Mike Williams. Beautiful catch. Lost his shoe, ruled down at the 2, punched it in a play later, and Clemson back in front.
So the Seminoles' 18-game winning streak, longest in major college football. Sans the Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston tonight, trailing Clemson. High snap. Hedrick corrals, hands to Jay Ajayi. Across the 35, Ajayi breaking tackles to near midfield. Patton Thomas on the stop, 18-yard pickup.
Some tremendous downfield blocking that time. Shane Williams-Rhodes, number 11. The man's only 5'6", 158 pounds, but he was getting people on the ground to allow Ajayi to get to the perimeter.
Flag down.
Before the snap, false start, number 2 offense. Penalties 5 yards, first down.
Penalties is quickly becoming the story, and a story that head coach Brian Harsin doesn't want to be true for this Boise State team. This is typically a team that's pretty disciplined, but they just have so many foolish penalties, Carter. That's their 4th tonight already, and we're here in the second quarter.
First and 15. Rowe, the tight end, shifting. Play fake. Grant Hedrick complete to the outside. Matt Miller, the 5th-year senior from Helena, Montana, who is averaging 103 receiving yards a game. Matt Miller last week, he threw a touchdown pass and caught a touchdown pass. Caught 2 of them last week. Second time in his career he's done that. Shane Williams-Rhodes to the 48. 43rd straight game with a catch from Matt Miller, 5th-year senior.
I mean, he is just the epitome of consistency for this ball club. Sneaky fast, not a top-end burner that's going to lift the lid off your defense, but certainly somebody that will get you big catches and tough catches when you need them. And look how soft the Cajuns are playing. Boise State's taking advantage of that all night. He's hitting those quick checkdowns.
Hedrick sacked on 3rd and 6. Christian Ringo, the senior defensive tackle, brings Hedrick down.
Just great push up inside. Remember, this is a young offensive line for Boise. One of their concerns early on in the season. That's their 7th sack that they've given up already. They're starting to build chemistry, but again, they were concerned about this Cajun defensive line, and we just saw why.
And that's the final play of the first quarter. The sack, Ringo on Grant Hedrick. The score, 14-3. Boise State on the Raging Cajuns. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. 14-3, start of the second quarter. Boise State on the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana Lafayette. Sean Whale on the punt. First play of the second quarter. Elijah McGuire back to receive it. Fair catch. McGuire takes it right around the 20. Let's take a look at tonight's quarterback profile, brought to you by True Biotics, a daily probiotic from the nutrition experts at 1 a day. Terrence Broadway, impressive numbers in his Cajun career.
He's been such a playmaker for this team, and you can understand why he was the preseason player of the year and their team was picked to win the conference. The thing that I noticed is that he's not nearly as accurate this year as he was in 2012, and a big reason why is because Jamal Robinson, his main target and a playmaker that defenses have to respect, has not been on the field.
Only 8 rushing yards from the talented backs, Harris and McGuire, and that's Harris wrapped up for no gain again on first down. Getting back to Terrence Broadway, the quarterback, how much of the struggles for Broadway this year is trying to play catch-up as they are again tonight?
Significant. When you have to play catch-up, you have to get away from your run game. That basically makes you be one-handed. When you try and throw the football, you're out without a Jamal Robinson. It makes it really, really difficult to be able to move the ball. And what teams do is they pin their ears back and they come after you. It's complicated.
Another flag.
Before the snap, false start, 2 offense. Penalties 5 yards, second down.
Receiver Al Riles.
Seven total penalties between the Cajuns and the Broncos. Broadway down the seam, dangerous pass, hands on it, but Tyler Gray couldn't hang on.
Tyler Gray was trying to bait that throw, did a good job, never took his eyes off the quarterback. Sees him coming inside, knows where that ball's coming. When he saw the in-breaking receiver, Al Riles, coming through, he snapped his head and almost came up with a huge play.
3rd and long for the Cajuns from the 11. They are 0 for 5 on 3rd down. Broadway, nowhere to go. Pulls it, knocked out. Around the 25, Corey Bell, the nickel, knocks Broadway out, and the Cajuns will have to punt deep in their own territory.
Boise's doing an excellent job of getting themselves off the field. They showed pressure that time by mugging the linebackers up near the line of scrimmage, but they only rushed 3, and they had one be a searchlight who was locked one-on-one on Terrence Broadway to make sure that he couldn't beat him up the gut. The receivers on the outside edge have to win their matchups, and they're just simply not doing that.
Cadona, the National Punter of the Week this past week, averaging 49 yards a punt, gets off a good one here. Williams Rhodes from the 25 has a seam, an open field tackle. Brings down Williams Rhodes. 51-yard punt, 13 on the return. Arkansas State, we mentioned earlier, Hugh Freeze was there in 2011, left for Ole Miss. Then it was Gus Malzahn's turn in 2012. I think you know where Gus went. The Auburn Tigers to the national championship game. Then Brian Harsin, first head coaching job for Harsin after 1 year at Arkansas State with the Red Wolves. Harsin goes to Boise State. So 3 head coaches in 3 years. They've still been successful through that run.
That's what's so exceptional to me, is the fact that they were able to maintain.
Timeout is charged to Louisiana Lafayette. It's their first timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
They were able to maintain consistency. 3 9-win seasons in a row, 3 bowl wins. But Brian Harsin, what an opportunity for him to be able to come back home, the place that he went to school, and bring a ton of coaches with him that he's familiar with, and understand the unique culture of the Boise State Broncos.
He is a native of Boise, Brian Harsin, and was a quarterback here, and an assistant, including offensive coordinator, when they put up tremendous numbers. Was offensive coordinator at Texas for a couple of years. And he was rocking the Lucchese boots yesterday from Allen's Boots there on South Congress in Austin. Chatted back and forth with Mac Brown yesterday, who had effusive praise for Brian Harsin. The job he did at Texas. There's Ajayi on the wheel route out of the backfield into Cajun territory. 18 yards.
Getting the football into Ajayi's hands multiple times in multiple ways was certainly something that the Broncos wanted to increase. A year ago, he only had 18 receptions, or 22 last year, and he's already had 19 so far this year. It's clear that they're trying to feed number 27 as much and as early as possible.
11 carries, 1 reception for Ajayi. Averages 30 touches a game. Says he is loves playing a bigger role, especially in the passing game this year as a junior. Play fake it to him there. Hedrick down the middle. Caught. Nifty grab by the tight end, Jake Rowe. Tight ends playing a bigger role for the Broncos this year.
Yeah, they are. And Jake Rowe, 6'3", 228 pounds, very athletic. He's a seam splitter. Runs a nice route, just finding the hole in the space in front of the safeties and behind the linebackers.
Hedrick hit as he throws. Williams-Rhodes makes the grab, shaking inside the 20. Williams-Rhodes, tough run into the 15.
I love the way that Grant Hedrick goes through his read progressions, Carter. If his first receiver's not open, he starts to go through his progressions. Offensive coordinator Mike Sanford has really worked hard on this. In the pump fake, he gets blasted, but he stays in the pocket, keeps his eyes downfield, and that's what allows him to create that last ball to number 11.
Ajayi. Third touchdown of the night for Jay Ajayi. This one goes for 16. Ajayi bottled up a week ago at UConn. Not so tonight. Back on the blue turf in Boise. Carries for Ajayi, 3 of them for touchdowns. Goodale, the 5th-year senior kicker, makes it 21-3. Grab some pickle juice, Jay Ajayi. You've earned it. 3 touchdowns already.
Picks off McGuire, and right now they are at the 18 of Florida State. A couple of minutes left, guys.
Well, Brent, that would mean that one of those teams that is a favorite to be in the college football playoff, Florida State, the defending champs, in trouble in a big ACC matchup. Well, that'd be big for Clemson.
Yeah, the last 5 years, the winner of that game went on to win their division. So this is an important game, not only on the local level for them, but as you just mentioned, on the national level as well.
Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Jamie Erdahl from newly rechristened Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho. Touchback. Cajuns will get it at the 25. Let's go back to the 3rd touchdown for Jay Ajayi.
Well, keep your eye on these 2 players here. They're both true freshmen. And number 30 is T.J. Posey, who's filling in for Trey Johnson, the leading tackler that Jamie talked earlier about. And the other one's Roderick Stevens, who's playing for number 6, Justin Hamilton. This is where the depth of a team like Louisiana Lafayette really hurts you, especially when you have a running back as good as Ajayi. You just simply can't have inexperience in youth when you're facing a team and a back as potent as this one.
Got his hair retwisted yesterday, too, he told us. No class on Friday. Plenty of time to get the hair twisted. Broadway out of the pistol. Terrence Broadway. Incomplete to the sideline. Tanner Vallejo brings the pressure.
Broadway is under duress all night. They're doing a really good job of pressuring him at the line of scrimmage, but there's just no area for him to run. Boise is all over these receivers. Very good communication on that back end. Remember, Boise State's defense gave up 350 yards per game, amongst the worst in the country, and they're balling out tonight.
Another flag down.
Illegal substitution offense, 12 players in the formation. Penalties 5 yards, 2nd down.
Broadway is only 5 for 15 tonight. And again, the Ragin' Cajuns trail big in the first half, so you got to get out of what they wanted to do on the ground in time of possession.
This is the exact thing that they were trying to avoid.
Elijah McGuire shaking his way to the 28. McGuire, the sophomore from Houma, Louisiana, freshman All-American a year ago. Averaged 8 yards a carry last year, averaging 7 yards a carry this year. I mean, this was Harrison McGuire was billed as one of the top running back duos in the country. There was big talk around the Cajuns, especially if they were able to beat Ole Miss. Obviously, the Rebels took care of them last week, and now they're 1-2, trailing 21-3 on the road. On 3rd and 7, complete. McGuire has the first down.
Pretty good open field running that time by McGuire. Does a good job of faking out Ben Weaver right here. Keep your eye on number 51 for Boise. He ends up shaking him. This is just a simple check down, and Broadway doing a good job throwing the football underneath. Right there, that last little open move on 51, Ben Weaver, is what allowed that touchdown.
They were 0 for on 3rd down, finally convert. This is Harris. Not much there for Elijah Harris, the senior from Gadsden, Alabama, who has fumbled twice already this season after none in 2013.
When you have a defensive line that can control the line of scrimmage interiorly, it allows you the leeway to be able to do some things on the outside. What Boise's doing is they're putting people on the outside edge of the perimeter. They're only 1 or 2 deep inside. If Lafayette can be able to get up inside and run the football, they may have some success there, but they just simply can't get past that impenetrable defensive line for the Broncos.
Harris. Case in point, nothing there. This time it's Correa who leads the Bronco charge.
Running the football is about attitude. It's about want to. And what Boise's doing is whipping them at the line of scrimmage. Armand Nance, great extension there, holding the center back. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of room for these backs to run. I think they need to get Terrence Broadway's legs involved. Give him some run-pass options. Get him out to the perimeter and let him become a playmaker instead of trying to be a game manager here.
Third and 6.
Left tackle.
Another flag.
Before the snap, false start, 70 offense. Penalties 5 yards, 3rd down.
It's pretty close, Carter. It looked early to me, but if you look closely at the center, he moves the ball, and they almost move in unison. That is close. By the letter of the law, maybe he did move a little bit early. You got to be able to hold your water, but again, he was lined up over Kamale Correa, who's already shown a penchant for being able to get after the quarterback on the road. I'd probably be leaving a little early, too.
4th false start by a veteran, solid offensive line. Broadway, nothing there. Pressure right in his face. That time it was Tyler Gray forcing Broadway to throw off his back foot, and the Cajuns will punt again.
Been so impressed with what Boise State has done defensively tonight. It's been textbook with the pressure in his face. Terrence Broadway just simply hasn't had the ability to be able to have the time to set his feet. His receivers aren't getting open, and Boise's being dominant in an area that they've struggled all year long. This team's getting better this week.
Cadona, last punt 51. Williams Rhodes, fair catch at the 21. Broncos 21-3 on the Cajuns. On the blue turf, Albertson Stadium, it is 21-3. Boise State on Louisiana Lafayette. Jay Ajayi, 3 touchdowns already for the junior from Plano, Texas.
Well, the run game was grounded a week ago. They only had 52 yards against a UConn defense that schemed them up pretty good. But tonight, when they're back at home on the blue turf, it's been the Jay Ajayi show, following some great blocks at the line of scrimmage and downfield. Number 27's been getting his.
Liberty High School in Plano, Texas, in the Dallas area. Hedrick out of the shotgun, screen to the outside. That's Chaz Anderson, dropped immediately by Pat. So Jay Ajayi is from Liberty High School in Plano, Texas. Brent Pease, who was then the offensive coordinator at Boise State. He's now in Washington with Chris Peterson. He came to Plano actually to recruit Malcolm Hill, who eventually went to Rice. But Ajayi impressed Pease so much, he invited him to visit Boise State. And Ajayi committed, becoming the first person in his family to attend college in the U.S. And here goes Jay Ajayi again to near the 45.
What I'm finding interesting, Carter, is that James Willis, the defensive coordinator, told us on the phone this week that he wanted to be able to force Ajayi to go out to the perimeter, that they felt good and confident about their speed. But I wonder if they're missing Trey Johnson, their leading tackler at that inside middle linebacker, because that's where Ajayi's been finding all his room to run.
Hedrick drilled, never saw Tovell coming. That's Dominique Tovell popping Grant Hedrick.
This comes off the right side of that offensive line, completely unblocked. You see he's got a straight shot to the quarterback. James Willis dialing up pressure perfectly, and Tovell hits Hedrick right in the chest. Wow, he's going to feel that one. Coaches told us that they wanted 52 there to make more plays, and Tovell delivered on that last one.
Hedrick complete. Boy, bounce back for Grant Hedrick. Takes a huge pop and then delivers the strike to Miller. Near the 49, third down coming.
He's a tough kid, man. Very even-keeled. Leads by example. Gym rat, film rat, just shows up and works hard and has turned himself into a pretty nice quarterback.
Dad Shane was his high school coach in Independence, Oregon. Hedrick flings it to Miller again, first down. Nifty grab for Matt Miller.
Those are those hands that we talked about. Matt Miller got up a little gingerly there. But again, Boise and Hedrick taking advantage of that soft coverage on the perimeter by the Cajuns.
Already 87 receiving yards for Miller. Demuson in running back. Demus, toss back, Hedrick, downfield, first down, Boise State. Hump makes the grab, and there's another Boise State funk play, as they call them.
It's almost a weekly ritual for Boise State. The double pass, the wide receiver pass. It's something that head coach Brian Harsin loves to do. He says we never draw them up, we never write them down. They're all in our heads so that people can't smoke them out. But there's something that they like to run every single week, and run them especially when the defense aren't expecting them, and they execute them perfectly.
Thought that was interesting. They don't write them down. No chance that they can be pilfered. Ajayi makes the grab, puts it on the turf, but he was down. Ajayi, the weakness in the game has been ball security, but they rule Jay Ajayi down to the 18.
That's something that he's really improved from last year. The ground obviously caused that one. He had a fumble in week 1 against Ole Miss. He recovered it himself down in the red zone. That's been kind of the area exactly where Boise is right now, that for whatever reason, number 27 will cough it up from time to time.
High snap, but I believe before the snap, replay booth may want to take a look at it.
Sounded like the snap came after the whistle to me. Look at Hudspeth, man. He's yoked up.
Yes.
Man does push-ups when he's bored.
Well,
sun's out, guns out. What?
We're not going to get an explanation, apparently.
I see it, coach.
Now, our officiating crew just blew a play dead and will not give us an explanation. Ajayi, Wildcat, near the first down.
And that's the way the Cajuns need to tackle and control that line of scrimmage. On second and short, you have to buckle down. They have that ability. And they've got their starters in there now. They need Justin Hamilton to step up, control that line of scrimmage. Jacoby Briscoe, Christian Ringo, that big D line. Look at that. Oh man, 6'3", 325-pound sophomore, Jacoby Briscoe.
Well, what we're being told is the replay booth did take a look to see whether that was a fumble. So therefore the play, the high snap, that would have been a huge break for the Ragin' Cajuns. But our Sun Belt officiating crew didn't bother to tell us.
Yeah, it was odd that there was no explanation there.
To blow a play dead.
Good hard run that last time to be able to pick up the first down. Breaking arm tackles is something that Ajayi struggled with against UConn last week, but not on that last play.
Ajayi to the 16. Is averaging almost 8 yards a touch tonight, rushing and receiving.
It's another simple inside power run game where you pull that backside guard and double team on the play side. And here are the trades and the shifts that Brian Harson's known for, moving tight ends, putting people in motion.
Another high snap. Hedrick has to take it back at the 29. Marcus Henry's first high snap was waved off because the replay booth took a brief look. This one just sails right over Hedrick's head.
You have to wonder if Marcus Henry's a little nervous with this big defensive line. It's not easy doing that as a center, to step and snap at the same time. Marcus Henry was a right guard last year, so he's not a very experienced center snapping the football, and it's shown at the end of this drive.
Loss of 16, so Hedrick's going to take it on the draw. Back to the line of scrimmage. Fuquay there on the stop. Fourth down coming, field goal unit out. Couple of bad snaps by Marcus Henry, only one of them counted.
Carter, we talked at the beginning of the show, Boise State needed to be more consistent. They do certain things really, really well, but they don't do it consistently. And certainly we're seeing that show up in this first half with the Broncos.
Dan Goodell out for a 44-yarder. His long this year is 43. He's missed only 4 kicks in his Boise State career. Make it 5. Now the 5th-year senior from Boise's Timberline High School misses his first kick of the year. 21-3 Broncos. Cajuns get a stop.
Welcome back to Boise. Not only is Brian Harsin returning to Boise to coach his alma mater, he has 5 assistant coaches on his staff that also played for the Broncos, all in the late 90s, early 2000s. Brian Harsin said, you know, while it's great that these former players are returning to coach school, I hired them because they're great coaches. And when speaking with quarterback coach Mike Sanford, he said really coaching with guys that he used to play with and that went to this school, they kind of skipped over that year that it takes for coaches to get used to each other, to build that chemistry, and they could just slide right in to coaching this Broncos team.
You know, Jamie, what I was surprised was when we asked Harsin and Sanford yesterday, did you have to put a kibosh on all the old stories from your college days, your playing days, so that nobody would, you know, bring up the old stuff? They said, no, we're pretty forthright with our guys. We have a good time, ashamed of nothing. Timeout there from Brian Harsin after another sack from the Boise State defense.
Is charged to Boise State. It's their first time out of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Very good use of a timeout there by head coach Brian Harsin, who wants to try and get this ball back with some time left on the clock. But I mean, we talk about him being blue and blue through. As an assistant coach here, pretty much all the way through the 2000s, was an offensive coordinator.
Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes.
Through all those great games, we all remember the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. I mean, that was this man right here. He's just got an unbelievable knack to understand when to call the right play. There he is as a Bronco quarterback.
Including when, when Houston Nutt was here, and Houston We're joining the guys in the half. Well, I'll save anything Houston wants to say about Brian Harsin for halftime. Obviously, he would have some fun stories. Harsin just 37 years old.
Coach, I ain't going to sell you out if you're listening, Coach. I ain't going to sell you out.
Broadway pressured again. Check down complete. McGuire dropped by Correa.
Boise State has been dominant in the pressure department tonight, Carter. Terrence Broadway just simply hasn't been comfortable back there. He hadn't been able to set his feet.
Timeout is charged to Boise State. They have one timeout remaining in the half.
Bronco fans, just keep your
Please
TV
reset the
right
game
here.
clock to 1 minute, 51 seconds. 1:51.
Next Saturday on CBS Sports Network. You just keep your TV here all week because we have Boise State at Air Force. That's a 7 Eastern kick from the Air Force Academy presented by Geico. We kick it off with the battle for the skillet. TCU SMU noon Eastern time inside college football after the game. It'll be the first time that Boise State makes the trip to Air Force to take on Troy Calhoun and the Falcons.
How about Cale Pearson, the quarterback for Air Force, throwing the football a little bit? That's a very, very tough offense to defend, especially when you have the ability to throw the football. Rutgers almost found that out today when they played Navy.
Cajuns backed into third and long again. Only 1 third down conversion tonight. McGuire to the 30, not even close. Darian Thompson finishes it off.
They really needed to be able to get that first down.
Timeout is charged to Boise State. It's their last timeout in the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
They really needed to get that first down because the Broncos are going to get this football back with a lot of time with good field position. But the story of tonight has been the pressure by the Broncos getting after Terrence Broadway. Whether it's up the middle or off the edges, number 8 just simply hasn't had the time to be able to throw the football. And when he's not getting pressured up front, his receivers aren't getting open. It's play after play after play. A team that is number 2 in the nation in sacks right now, doing a tremendous job of getting after the quarterback, and their back end and their pass defense is significantly benefiting because of it.
Talked about Boise State getting more aggressive on defense. Hadn't worked out in the first 3 games, but they are harassing the Cajuns tonight. Padona gets the punt away. Williams Rhodes let it sail out of bounds near the 40-yard line. Bronco football up 21-3. Broncos in command on homecoming. Minute 36 away from the half. Our Verizon halftime report. We'll get you back to Brent, Houston, and Christian in the studio with a full update, including the thriller between Clemson and Florida State. Boy. And the Seminoles survive. Full details coming up at the half. Mississippi State. Marquee win for Dan Mullen against 8th-ranked LSU. And a bounce-back day for the Big Ten, including Indiana's win over Missouri.
Yeah, that was the first big win for Dan Mullen in that program. And a lot of people, including myself at the beginning of the year, said if there was ever going to be a chance that he was going to be able to make some noise, it was going to be this year. He's got the weapons on both sides of the ball. That defense is playing at a high level. But yeah, you're right. Indiana beating Missouri. That's huge for that conference. It desperately needed something good to happen.
Ajayi to the 44. Iowa won over Pitt. Maryland over Syracuse. Indiana over Missouri. There is a flag down, far side of the field.
Number 52 defense was in the neutral zone at the snap, offside. Penalties 5 yards. Repeat first down.
Last thing that Mark Hudspeth wanted his team to do is make it that much easier for Boise State to move the football. Now remember, Boise State, Carter, does not have any timeouts. So what they're going to try and do is get first downs or get out of bounds.
Hedrick, 1st and 5. Deep shot. Knocked away. Incomplete. That is the first incompletion of the game for Hedrick. Watson knocks it away. We check with Brent Stover.
Clemson and Florida State went to overtime. Clemson had it first, went for it on 4th and 1, didn't get it. Carlos Williams with a touchdown run. In OT, without Jameis Winston, the Seminoles win. Back out to Carter, Aaron, and Jamie.
And we'll look forward to the full report at the half.
I think Pat got away with maybe a pass interference on that last one.
Williams Rhodes makes the catch. Let's go back to the first incompletion 2 plays ago.
Carter, let's take a look at that. You see all that contact there. It was number 11, Javonte Watson. He was all over Chaz Anderson. I think he got a little bit away with one there. 3rd and short. Boise's got to get this first down to keep it on the ground. Remember, because of the first down, the clock will stop. There's a little over a minute. You don't have to panic now. But you do take your shots. You work the perimeter of the field. Keep your eye on number 2, Matt Miller, who's at the top of your screen.
No timeouts, clock rolling under a minute.
Moving into the slot.
Hedrick down the seam, incomplete. Intended for Jake Rowe. Goodale missed from 44. If you're thinking about a field goal for Boise State. Now, that was mentioned earlier. That was just the 5th miss of Dan Goodale's career. One of those was the high-profile miss in 2011 against TCU. He has been remarkably consistent during his Boise State career. Broncos will try and give him another shot. 2nd and 10, Hedrick to Ajayi. No timeouts, no first down. The clock is going to roll. Fuquay makes the stop.
If you're the Cajuns, that's what you want. Short gains that burn up time.
On 3rd and 4. Hedrick, deep shot, incomplete. Intended for Chaz Anderson. This will be 4th down. Corey Trim there in coverage on Anderson.
Yeah, and Chaz Anderson ran out of bounds there. I don't know even if he had caught this, had he established himself clearly back in bounds prior to being able to go for that football. But it's a moot point because it's 4th down here. They're going to try the field goal, though. But remember, this is Boise State, Carter. You got to be ready for a fake here.
This is a 54-yard attempt for Dan Goodale. His career long is 47. Goodale, who missed from 44, will try in a moment from 54. But first, a timeout for Louisiana Lafayette. The Boise State record.
Timeout, Louisiana Lafayette. They have 1 timeout remaining this half. This is a 30-second timeout.
Roberto Marin, back in 1985, kicked a 56-yarder, longer than anything Michael Black had in his Boise State kicking career. This was Goodale's last attempt from 44. He missed it.
And you got to be careful going against a defensive line that is big and physical up front, and they can get some push because this kicks, because of the distance, is going to come out low. Boise needs to be careful that they don't get this thing blocked, and if they do, they got to cover down.
Kevin Keene will snap it. Matt Miller will hold it. 54-yard attempt. Fake. Goodale on 4th and 4. Wrapped up. The Cajuns were ready for the fake. Tovell makes the stop on Goodale. And Aaron, I think you and everybody on the Cajun sideline anticipated that might not be a field goal attempt.
You can't take anything for granted when you're playing against Boise, but a great timeout by Hudspeth and his staff to talk about that, and it was clear that Tovell and the rest of the Cajuns were ready and sniffed that one out. Great heads-up play to end this second half.
Still, 18 seconds and 1 timeout left for the Cajuns near midfield from the 44.
Connecting on deep balls is something they've struggled with. Broadway may want to throw this one up and try and get a penalty.
Instead, drag route complete. That's McGuire short of the first down. Clock rolling. Cajuns will use the last timeout, 9 seconds.
Don't know if I like that.
Timeout is charged to Louisiana Lafayette. It's their last timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
In a normal situation, Carter, that's a pretty good decision to hit your check down. But what it does is you only get 9 yards. You have to burn your timeout and you lose time. I would have preferred to have seen a deeper shot there. They got maybe 2 chances to go to the end zone, but probably only 1 here. They've got to be really, really careful and effective with what they choose to call. But I would take a shot in the end zone and hope to get a pass interference penalty. Maybe run a corner route and try and hit a soft area in the zone and get yourselves out of bounds.
No timeouts, 9 seconds left in the half. Broadway bobbles to the sideline, caught at the 42. That is a first down, 5 seconds, 1 more shot. Riles makes the grab. Still well out of the range of the kicker Stover. Stover missed a 51-yarder versus Louisiana Tech. This would be 59 from here. So going to be one last shot at the end zone for Broadway and the Cajuns to try and get in the end zone at the end of the half.
With 5 seconds, he can try and dump it there and pick up some quick, cheap yards, but you got to be careful.
Broadway. There is a flag down. So 0's on the clock, but a flag down. Reno applying the pressure on Broadway.
Only rushed 3 that time, and they still were able to pressure Broadway.
Illegal formation offense. Penalties decline. The half's over.
21-3 Boise State on the Ragin' Cajuns. Jay Ajayi, 3 touchdowns in the first half for the Broncos. And a homecoming halftime score, 21-3 for Boise State. Send it down to Jamie Erdahl.
Your ground game has been on point so far this half. What do you see your offense being able to exploit that's opened that up for Jay Ajayi?
Well, I think the O-line's doing a good job. Jay's running hard. Really, the outside perimeter blocking's been good. So we need to get back to that, get the ball in his hands. He's doing a good job, and then get the pass game back up into a rhythm.
Are you seeing enough defensive consistency, or are you at all concerned with discipline?
Well, I think the defense is playing well. They've done a good job, but we got to come back in the second half and be better. They're going to make adjustments. We got to do the same thing.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Harsin and the Boise State Broncos, a 21-3 lead at the break. After the break, we'll send you back to our CBS Sports Network studio in New York for the Verizon Halftime Report. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Nice moment before the game on the blue turf. It is officially Lyle Smith Field, named after Lyle Smith. Won a junior college national championship, so long before the Broncos were BCS Busters. A solid football program, and Lyle Smith, now 98 years old, honored tonight here at Albertson Stadium. Halftime 21-3, Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Jamie Erdahl. Broncos in command, but it hasn't really been a perfectly smooth first half for Boise State.
No, there's been some foolish penalties, and they've only scored 21 points, and I think, quite frankly, they could have scored more than that. But their defense has been lights out. But early on in this game, it's kind of been one of those weird games where there were some herky-jerky things that happened for both of these teams in the kicking game.
Hunter Stover there manages to complete that. The only points of the night was coming off of that completion. Made field goal for the Cajuns. A miss for Dan Goodale from 44. They fake it near the end of the half. Goodale dropped, but Jay Ajayi is the one who has been putting points on the board.
He's really been the story tonight. A week ago against UConn, they couldn't get anything going, but he's been finding a lot of room to run on the perimeter tonight. I think that the Cajuns have to be able to do something to take that away and allow their big defensive line inside to stop number 27, because he's been lights out running the football with 3 touchdowns so far.
First half numbers, only 27 rushing yards for the Ragin' Cajuns. They are only 1 for 9 on 3rd down. Everything favors Boise State. Broncos have been penalized 4 times for 40 yards. 21-3 as we get set for the start of the second half. Boise State won the toss and deferred to the second half. So it'll be Stover kicking off here. Stover, and watch him for the tackle 45, because Hunter Stover leads the Ragin' Cajuns in special teams tackles. Out of the end zone comes Dallas Burrows across the 15, across the 20. Here goes Burrows across the 40-yard line. Dallas Burrows sets up the Boise State Broncos. We check with Jamie Erdahl.
Carter, the answers for Lafayette's offense all circles back to tempo. Mark Hudspeth was really happy with upping the tempo towards the end of the first half. He wants to see that again. And in terms of containing Jay Ajayi defensively, again, it all circles back to the offense. They need to keep Boise State off the field in the second half. He said that's the best way. Just keep them away from the ball. The Cajun offense needs to keep the ball longer in the second half.
Thank you, Jamie. So obviously those 27 rushing yards, a big concern for the Cajuns. Have to do better than that in the second half.
They got to take that big, experienced offensive line and find some room to run.
Here's Ajayi slipping across midfield for the Broncos. Briscoe on the stop.
Now, if you're Louisiana Lafayette, I'd be okay with that. Those short runs inside are better than those big, long perimeter runs that Ajayi hurt him with so much in the first half.
Ajayi now 120 yards rushing. Hedrick scramble for a first down and more to near the 30.
Well, we talked about the mobility of Grant Hedrick. And here he just pulls the ball down and shows you how he can extend plays and make something out of nothing. Not the way that the Cajuns wanted to start this second half.
Ajayi keeps the legs rolling inside the Cajun 25.
And this tackle in the hole by the Cajuns allowed Ajayi to be able to find some additional room to run and pick up 7 yards on first down. They really missed Trey Johnson inside there, Carter.
Ajayi dropped Ringo to force 3rd down. Let's look at the pass chart for Grant Hedrick.
Not a lot of success taking some deep shots tonight, but in the intermediate routes, particularly finding Matt Miller, finding a lot of room to run, and you look at what he's done short. That's really where I've seen the soft coverage of the Cajuns really hurt them. They're trying to bend but not break, but they're doing both.
On 3rd and 3. Ajayi sheds a tackler, dives near the first down. Close.
Carter, that's exactly what I was talking about. The Cajuns trying to take away that perimeter run game. Prevent Pat had an opportunity to be able to tackle him for a loss, but Ajayi ran through that arm tackle. And now it's close for the measurement on 3rd down here.
The good news for Pat is he now has 10 tackles in the game. The bad news is he's a cornerback and he has 10 tackles in the game. That close. It'll be 4th and short.
See at the top of your screen, it's a power, but it's designed to bounce. Pat recognizes it right away, beats his blocker, but Ajayi's speed and leg strength allows him to continue to move forward and almost pick up the first down. If you're Boise here, I think you have to go for it. Your offensive line's been dominating up front. Go ahead and get yourself this extra yard and find that consistency that's been so elusive for this Bronco team.
Only 1 4th down conversion so far this year. Hedrick keeps it, first down inside the 20. Huge push by that Bronco offensive line.
I mean, if you're a defensive player, that's embarrassing to be able to have that offensive line just reset the line of scrimmage like that. Those are some big boys. Averill, Henry, Yaku all inside doing a tremendous job. These are the games as an offensive lineman that you'd love to play in and go home and watch the film on Sunday morning.
Play fake. Hedrick out of the backfield. That's complete to Rowe, the tight end. It will be second down. Tonight's Red Zone brought to you by Verizon. 4 trips, 3 touchdowns for Boise State. Just the Goodell missed field goal, only time they haven't scored. Hedrick heaves it as he was headed to the ground to Ajayi. Hedrick dragged down by Christian Ringo and somehow still completes it to Ajayi.
And a great open field tackle that time by Pat. And good job staying alive by Christian Ringo to be able to put pressure on Hedrick, and Pat coming up to get Ajayi to the ground.
Pat's first game back at corner, moved from safety this past week.
Yeah, they had to try and do something to shore up the back end of that defense, and here's another sack by the Cajuns.
That's White, 3rd sack by the Cajun defense. Marquise White, the junior from Orlando.
Now remember, coming into this game, Boise State had only given up 6 sacks. They've given up 3 more tonight, and that's with them playing Ole Miss and that vaunted defensive line. But the Cajuns at time finding ways to be able to get pressure, and here they get themselves off the field and force the field goal.
40-yard attempt coming from Goodell. He missed from 44 earlier. This 40-yarder is good. 3 more on the board for Boise State. A 24-3 lead for Brian Harson's Broncos.
College football on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Verizon. Get NFL Mobile included with the More Everything plan, exclusively from Verizon. By Icy Hot Smart Relief TENS Therapy. And by the all-new LG G3.
Boise, Idaho, the hometown of the Emmy-winning actor Aaron Paul.
Jesse Pinkman?
You got it. That's Breaking Bad reference number 2 of the season for us. Thankfully, Aaron's growing up years were more idyllic here in Boise than Jesse Pinkman's in Albuquerque.
I'd say.
Speaking of blue, on the blue turf here, it's a 24-3 lead. Touchback, Cajun football at the 25. Let's take a look at the passing chart for Terrence Broadway.
Speaking of Breaking Bad, Terrence Broadway's really struggled throwing the football tonight. Anything over 10 yards. There's just been so much pressure, people in his face coming from the backside, and when he has had time to throw, Carter, a lot of times his receivers haven't been able to get themselves open. I think that they have to be able to stick to this run game, have some success there to be able to create some opportunities throwing the football.
From the 25, Broadway. Check down, McGuire. Wrestled down by Tanner Vallejo. Came into the night talking about how Boise State, while they had been good with takeaways, they've been giving up a lot of yardage, especially in the pass game. How would you rate the Boise State defense so far tonight?
I think they've been outstanding. They've only given up a little bit over 100 pass yards. They've tackled well in open space. They haven't given up hardly any big plays, and it's because of the pressure and the blitzes. They're getting home and making them work. The Cajuns have to find a way to make them pay when they bring pressure.
Broadway audibles, 6 on the play clock. Just got it off. McGuire across the 30, drilled by Correa.
Excellent job by Correa recognizing this and coming off, but you take a look at the first half possessions by the Cajuns. There's just not a whole lot to like after that third one. Their longest drive was 12 plays, and it resulted in their only point so far tonight. They've got to be able to get themselves in rhythm, and Boise helped them out a lot on that drive. You got to remember that, Carter. That wasn't all the Cajuns.
2 big penalties and then the wacky completion on the botched field goal attempt. That's how Cajuns got their only points. 3rd and 4. McGuire again out of the backfield, bumped forward, but still a yard short of the first down.
So much speed on this defense. Their recognition and ability to break on the football has been impressive. Marcel Yates, the defensive coordinator, has to feel good about the way his unit is playing.
Cajuns send the punter to Dona on. Mentioning again that this Ragin' Cajun team, they're 1-2. They're trailing big on the road. This is a team who's won 9 games each of the past 3 years. Preseason pick to win the Sun Belt. Some thought they win 10 games this year. Their catch at the 26 by Dante Dion. Bronco football up by 3 touchdowns. Only hours away from the NFL on CBS. The doubleheader begins at 1 Eastern. Houston at the Giants, Oakland at New England. Then 4:25 Eastern time. The big rematch, Denver at Seattle. All begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines at noon Eastern time. Ragin' Cajuns have had a good run of players in the NFL, including Charles Tillman with the Chicago Bears.
And when you look at that list there's something that you might notice in common. A lot of defensive backs and a lot of speed. Unfortunately for the Cajuns tonight, they could use some of those players, particularly on the back end.
Yes, indeed. I think they would take Tillman and Bill Bentley and the rest of those guys. Brandon Stokely, too, who just retired. Jake Delhomme, also a Ragin' Cajun alum. That's Shane Williams Rhodes, formerly Southwest Louisiana. Now it is the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. They just say Louisiana. We call them the Ragin' Cajuns.
Cajuns for short.
That's right.
Keep it simple. All right. This is about the time in the game where the Cajuns have to be able to come up and make a play on the defensive side of the ball. Steal a possession here. That's not the way to do it.
Nope. Hedrick right up the middle. Another Boise State first down before Pat makes the stop. The 11th tackle by the corner Pat.
When your DBs are your leading tacklers, that means that your front seven's not getting its job done. And Boise State's offensive line's been dominant so far tonight.
Ajayi stood up, forward progress, and you see the Cajuns trying to strip it away from 27. Jay Ajayi talked to us yesterday about trying to secure that football.
And they talked about going through the contact zone with the 6 points of pressure. Usually it's the 3 points, which is the hand, the elbow, and using the body. But he said he had to wrap that hand over the top, so he's got 2 hands on it when he's going through the line of scrimmage.
Reverse, Shane Williams Rhodes into Cajun territory, inside the 30 to the 25. Shane Williams Rhodes, the junior from Spring, Texas, 33-yard pickup.
Well, a lot of the players say that this young man looks like Carlton, but I don't remember Carlton from the Fresh Prince being that fast. He's so explosive when he's running the football.
Better moves by Williams Rhodes than Carlton.
I keep hoping he scores a touchdown and busts it out.
Play fake. Hedrick. Caught. First and goal. Miller hauls it in and takes a blow, but it's first and goal for the Broncos.
Matt Miller's so tough. He knew he was going to take a shot, just a simple corner route, but look at the time that Hedrick has to be able to put this ball on him. Man, if you're Tracy Walker, you got to come up and separate Matt Miller from that football. Miller a little banged up. Gimpy as he runs off the field here.
5 catches, 107 yards for Miller. Demas. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Devin Demas. Fourth rushing touchdown of the night for Boise State. Demas, the sophomore from Houston, has his first touchdown. Some love for the backup running backs. Coming into tonight, they had all of 6 carries. That's the first touchdown for either of the backup running backs. And a big celebration for the Broncos. Devin Demas is into the end zone, and the Broncos are cruising a 31-3 homecoming game on the Cajuns. Boise State over the Cajuns. Aaron Taylor, do some translating for us.
Well, on that last one, they ran a power play, but it was a power read, and that's where the strong side off tackle running play, it involves a backside pulling guard, which is what Boise did there. The play side, double teams or down blocks on the front, so keep your eye on the backside guard. He's going to come, but this is the key player. This is where the read comes, because that's where Grant Hedrick, as Tovell comes, he's got a decision to make. Tovell doesn't take anybody, and Demas, who's quite a bit quicker than Jay Ajayi, uses his speed to be able to get to the perimeter. Boise there combining a lot of different run zone concepts with the zone read and the power, and found a way to get in the end zone because of it.
That's former Notre Dame star offensive lineman and first-round pick of the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Taylor, breaking down power run game. Dan Goodale, Carter will take a knee, touchback, Cajun football at the 25.
All right, if you're Terrence Broadway as a quarterback, you have to be able to find a way to make something happen. I think that they need to use that young man's legs a little bit more than they have because of the pressure that Boise's bringing. Screens, draws, delays. They haven't ran any draws yet. They've had some success early on the screen game. They can't completely abandon the run game, but they got to find something here. This game's going to get away from them more so than it already has.
Play fake, Broadway. Downfield, incomplete. Intended for James Butler. Dante Dion in coverage.
And that play didn't have a chance. Dante Dion was all over that. You see Terrence Broadway shaking his head there. He's frustrated. And it rains, it pours here for the Cajuns. Dion's been excellent in his coverage tonight. Saved that pass interference penalty. He had Boise State running some players on late here.
Broadway, the senior from Baton Rouge. Only 2 hands down for the Broncos on second down. Give it to Harris. Third down coming up for Lafayette.
Third down's been a struggle for the Cajuns tonight. And a lot of that, Carter's been because of their lack of success on first and second down. It's one of those cliches that you hear in football a lot. We want to win on third downs. We got to be successful on first and second down. Well, tonight we've seen that absolutely play out as true.
So if you win every down, you're going to have an advantage in the football game.
Kind of like when you score more points than the other team, you're going to win.
1 for 10 on third down tonight.
Unbelievable.
Intercepted by Dion. What a grab. Dante Dion, his 9th career interception. This may be the most spectacular for the junior.
Dante Dion going up and getting this football with pressure. Terrence Broadway just throws up a prayer. That is a perfect definition of high pointing the football. That means timing your jump so that you're at your apex when the ball hits your hands. And Dante Dion did it perfectly for his 2nd interception of the season.
What a grab.
And remember, this is a defensive backfield that doesn't have Cleishon Page, who I think has a tremendous ability to really help them out on their back end when they get him back and healthy. Boise State may find that consistency that the coaching staffs thought they've lacked on both sides of the ball so far.
Cleishon Page went down with a leg injury in the Colorado State game. Not sure when Boise State will have him back to man that other cornerback spot. Dion's interception gives it back to the Broncos. Low snap. Hedrick outside the pocket. Scrambling down the sideline near another Bronco first down.
And Carter, that was Boise State's 8th interception so far this season. 2nd in the FBS behind only what school?
Ole Miss.
That's right, Daddy-O.
Also continues the disturbing trend for the Cajuns, who are last in the FBS in turnover margin. -9.
Yeah, they give it up a lot on offense and just haven't found a way to generate them on defense.
Ajayi first down inside the Cajun 30. It is all Bronco Blue tonight, a 31-3 lead. Jay Ajayi is nearing 140 rushing yards, already 3 touchdowns in the game.
Defensive line of Louisiana Lafayette is tired. You look at first downs, 21-7. Boise State's offense been clicking in all phases tonight.
Hedrick dragging receiver complete back into the red zone. It's Chaz Anderson again, the sophomore who's moved from corner to wide receiver the first day of camp. Anderson didn't have a catch coming into tonight. That's his third.
Hedrick spreading the ball around tonight, throwing it to 7 different receivers. Aside from the couple gotchas with the blitzes, protection's been pretty good. He's also doing a good job of getting rid of it quickly.
Flings this one incomplete. Intended for Dallas Burrows, a rare incompletion for Grant Hedrick. He is now 23 of 27.
And the reason that was incomplete, Carter, was because he couldn't step into the throw because of the pressure here at the top of the screen. When a quarterback can't step into the throw, he just doesn't have the strength, and the ball's always going to sink on you exactly like it did there.
First incompletion of the second half for Hedrick. Back to the screen. That's incomplete. Make it back-to-back interceptions for Hedrick. Incomplete passes, rather, intended for Fields.
Yeah, I think if you're the Cajuns, you don't have anything to lose. I think it has to be wholesale pressure to find a way to get Boise to make a mistake. Steal a possession. Get some good momentum going. But they look tired.
Third and 10. Hedrick pulls it. Scrambles for a first down. First and goal, Boise State. Even when the Cajuns back Boise State into third and long, Broncos convert.
Okay, and that was again number 30, TJ Posey, who's filling in for Trey Johnson, the leading tackler, that Hedrick deked on that for the big first down.
Flag down.
Before the snap, false start, 74 offense, at least 5 yards, first down.
Carter, we talked about being able to be on the road. You have to bring your defense. You have to be able to run the football. But the Cajuns are missing their best player. Just a poor angle and poor open field tackling. That's a lot to ask of a true freshman, but that's the job that TJ Posey, filling in for Trey Johnson, the senior, and the leader tackler on this defense. The best player on that side of the football is out tonight with an injury, and it certainly hurt him.
Timeout is charged to Boise State. It's their first timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
So prior to first and goal, a penalty and then a timeout for Brian Harsin and the Broncos. Well, if you're hours away from your NFL Sunday, that means you're hours away from that other pregame show. Primetime Adam Shine and his gang that includes London Fletcher, Nita Marks, Brandon Tierney, Amy Trask. That other pregame show, CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. All begins at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. And if you were, let's see, on the East Coast, that would be today. And now if you're in Central Time, that would be today. So only west of the Rockies is that other pregame show coming your way tomorrow.
And it's a good show, man. It's different from other pregame shows. The takes and the opinions and kind of the approach they have to it. It's a little different, I think, than some of the other stuff out there.
First and goal. Hedrick. Touchdown. Too easy. Holden Huff. First touchdown of the year for Huff. 37-3 Broncos. There is a flag down.
Number 85 was not an eligible receiver. Caught the pass. That's illegal touching. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
There is a G at the end of touching.
Penalties again, something that Brian Harsin has been harping on. You see he's upset with his team. That's that consistency against this Cajun team. You can get away with that, but for a team who's fighting for that spot in the January 6 bowl games, they can't afford to be able to shoot themselves in the foot and take points off the board. You can get away with it on a night like tonight, but once they get into Mountain West Conference play, they can't do it.
Discombobulated.
Timeout is charged to Boise State. It's their second timeout of the half. They have 1 timeout remaining. This is a 30-second timeout.
Boy, this is a difficult trip to the red zone for this Boise State offense. Well, it's 34 touchdown lead for Boise State on Lafayette here in the third quarter. You have to go back to November 2012 since they have lost at home. It was San Diego State in a Mountain West Conference game. The 100-yard kickoff return by Colin Lockett as Rocky Long San Diego State Aztecs. That's the last team to beat Boise State here on the blue turf. Look at the numbers since 2000, 87-4.
You want to talk about a home field advantage, folks. That's exactly what it looks like there. People come in here on this blue turf and lose their minds. Boise plays extremely well here, as the record indicates.
This is first and goal. Hedrick dropped at the 15. Well, you talk about the penalties, and this is another case where you have a touchdown wiped out because of the penalty. And clearly Brian Harsin not happy with the consistent execution from his team right now.
That really was the theme when we sat down in his office and talked with him yesterday. He said we need to be more consistent in all areas, all phases across the board on both sides of the football.
Incompletion on second and long. Now was Posey getting some pressure on Hedrick to make it third and goal.
That's something the Cajuns have needed to do, is to be able to try and pressure Hedrick a little bit more than they have. They've gotten to him 3 times with sacks, but it's been all or nothing. They need to be pesky and get him thinking about the pressure. Instead, Hedrick's been able to feel pretty confident down there because of the run game. Keep his eyes downfield and find the open receiver.
3 straight incompletions for Hedrick. He didn't have one in the half prior to that stretch. This is third and goal, all the way back out of the 29. And now Hedrick take a big hit as he gets to the 14. Delivered by Tovell. He's taking some pops.
He's been getting hit pretty hard when he gets outside the pocket. A couple times he was inside the pocket with the sacks, but that's Tovell again, bringing the lumber. And you see why Brian Harsin's so upset. That penalty, at the very least, has cost Boise State 4 points.
32-yard attempt coming from Dan Goodale. And it is no good. Second miss of the night from Goodale. He had missed only 4 kicks in his Boise State career until a pair of misses tonight. Bad trip for the Broncos.
Welcome back to Boise. The Broncos with a strong lead in the third quarter. Time now to take a look into our coach's corner. Brian Harsin opened his doors to his beautiful office in the football facility here in Boise. There's some motivational messaging above the door, bleed blue, and then we see his degree that he earned from Boise State playing for the Broncos in the late 90s. And lastly, Coach Harsin and all of his players are wearing these rubber band wrist bracelets recently. Attack the future, and really the meaning behind that is that this is a storied football program. We get the consistent success story, but Harsin doesn't want these players to rely on that. He wants them to go after week and continue to create the history behind this program. And Carter, Aaron, I'm pretty happy that we got into Harsin's office then, because after that last drive, I'm not sure if he would have let us in there.
Yes, he was not too happy. I think some of the Broncos may be called into the principal's office. There's Broadway completing to Larry Pettis. Talk about the great tradition here at Boise State, the Blameyer football facility, named after Gene Blameyer, the former athletic director who suggested the blue turf beginning in 1986 as a way to kind of differentiate. Lyle Smith honored tonight, won the junior college national title in '58. Boise State won a 1AA national title in 1980. So even before the Fiesta Bowl and BCS Buster, proud football tradition. McGuire gets a first down. So green until 1986. Now it's the blue field turf, which I believe as a player you would appreciate more.
Carter, if I had played on that stuff, I might still be playing, man. This stuff that these kids have now is so cushy. We used to literally play on concrete that was spray painted green. The stuff that they have now with all those degraded tires, and it's just got a nice cushy feel to it. But you want to talk about something that's an iconic piece of football, this blue field. It's as well branded and well marketed of any part of college football as we have in this country. Everybody knows the blue field in Boise.
There's a flag down.
Just sloppy football.
Offsides, defense, penalties 5 yards from the previous spot. The result of the play is a first down.
7th penalty against the Broncos.
And they're killing themselves. When Boise had the ball last time, they had 1st and goal at the 7. Then there was a penalty because of a false start, then illegal touching. Then they rushed the ball a couple times, an incomplete pass. Then they missed a 32-yard field goal. All that started with a penalty.
And now a first down for Lafayette. Broadway pressured again. Out of the pocket, Terrence Broadway on the move across the 40. First down, Ragin' Cajuns, as Terrence Broadway gets out of the pocket with his legs.
And he had some great blocking downfield by Al Riles, number 2. Once he realized that the play was breaking down, it didn't become the scramble drill, become the run drill. Al Riles right there gets a great block that allows him James Butler 11 downfield working for his quarterback. It's nice to see that even though they're down by 4 touchdowns, they're still playing hard.
Closing in on the end of the third quarter. Didn't get it off before the end of the third. So at the end of the third quarter, the score, Boise State 31, Ragin' Cajuns 3. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Our Chick-fil-A fan cam here in Boise. I mean, even the Bronco fans were excited to have a chance to cook some boudin and some crawfish with the Ragin' Cajuns from Lafayette, Louisiana in town. Gorgeous day in the Boise River Valley. A high of 84 degrees today and a long Saturday to enjoy some tailgating and homecoming parade earlier today. And it is not going to be a blue homecoming, to paraphrase the king. 31-3 Boise State on Lafayette. And look at the differential in yardage.
Man, if Boise State didn't have penalties on that one scoring drive, including roughing the kicker, their defense could be pitching a shutout right now.
Broadway incomplete. Knocked away by Brian Douglas. who's back at practice on Thursday. The 5th-year senior from LA, who was a question mark for this game. Broke well on that one.
Yeah, he did. Had some concussion symptoms that he was able to work through. Broadway with some time steps into the throw, but because of the aggressiveness of Brian Douglas, he was able to break and make a play on that ball.
Complete to Al Riles. Nice block on the edge. Riles takes a pop from Darian Thompson, but he has the first down.
I like what the Cajuns are doing here. They're starting to work the perimeter and getting the football out of Broadway's hands extremely quickly. They're picking up some blocks out on the edge that are allowing it to go. Playing physical down there.
Out of the pistol, play fake. Broadway pressured again, steps up, still behind the line. So he does what Aaron Taylor tells him to, throws it away. Pressured by Bo Martin and Jonathan Moxey, who is coming on the cowboy or corner blitz. Jonathan Moxey.
Oh, I see you. I see you dropping the big terms, Carter. The receivers didn't have a chance on that. Just tremendous coverage on the back end. Watch the DBs. Look at every receiver's covered. They only rush 3 and they're able to force Broadway out of the pocket. Now look at the blue jerseys converge towards the football. That's good defense.
Screen complete. Riles inside the 30. First down, Cajuns. Best drive for Louisiana Lafayette, as you pointed out, Aaron. The only scoring drive they've had was aided by Boise State penalties and a botched field goal attempt that ended up in 3.
It's the short, quick perimeter pass game, along with some over pursuit and a couple missed tackles, that have allowed the Cajuns to be able to move this football down the field.
Riles had 4 catches on the year coming into tonight. 3 for the converted cornerback. Fake the sweep, swing it to Elijah McGuire, the sophomore from Houma, Louisiana, inside the 15. Another first down for the Cajuns.
Great job by McGuire planting his foot in the ground and getting north and south. You're starting to see some of the Boise defenders overrun the play, and that's allowing McGuire to get much needed yardage. As a defender, you got to track that inside hip. He tried to force it inside, but the pursuit just wasn't there.
9th play of the drive for Terrence Broadway and the Cajuns. And off Pierce, nothing there.
He should have stayed play side. He bent it back. If he had stayed play side, he might have been able to have a couple more yards there. See him, if he follows 77 right there, he cuts back and allows the backside defender to be able to tackle him in a zone play. Don't block the guy backside. Because he bent it back, it ended up being a much shorter game than it could have
been. Only 1 hand down for Boise on 2nd down. Broadway over the middle, complete. That's Harris. 3rd down coming up.
We had Jarrett Johnson out in the flat. That would have been open with some room to run. Took the easy yards right in front of them. And again, the Cajuns trying to use a little bit of tempo, not huddling up, trying to go as fast as they can. They're all moving pretty slow. They're tired as well. Keep your eye on Pettis down here at the bottom of the screen.
On 3rd and 4, McGuire into the end zone, touchdown, Ragin' Cajuns. Finally, Louisiana Lafayette into the end zone. Just the 2nd rushing touchdown of the year for the freshman All-American from a year ago, Elijah McGuire.
He's been what they've needed. He's got the speed and the explosivity, if I can make up that new word, to be able to make something happen for that offense. They have to feel pretty good about that drive. They earned that drive by executing that short perimeter pass game, followed up by a run inside the Tom Pater.
Stover's PAT is no good. No good. So the Cajuns finally get a little momentum with a touchdown, but the PAT was no good. Elijah McGuire crosses the goal line at last. Some rage from the Cajuns. There's a touchdown on the board for the team from Lafayette. Despite the Cajun touchdown, still 31-9 Broncos. On Tuesday night, the Inside College Football game here on CBS Sports Network makes their picks, including Aaron. Let's take a look.
Well, 5 out of 6 ain't bad. The only one that did come through for me was Pitt. They should have, but they're awful, so they didn't. And then my upset special, man, San Jose State, I thought that they would do a little bit better, but Minnesota, to their credit, ran the football very well, but everything else came true. I'll tell you what, keep your eye on Utah this year in the Pac-12. They're going to make some noise. I don't know if they have enough to be able to compete for the North, but I think they're going to be a thorn in people's sides this year, Carter.
Minnesota ran it well, but not as good as Wisconsin. A Big Ten single game record, 644 rushing yards in a win over Bowling Green.
And because I went 5-1 and I went so outside the box of the conventional picks of Christian Fourier and Brian Jones, that means those guys had a rough week.
Sounds like a challenge. Let's check with Jamie Erdahl.
Carter, mid to late in the third quarter, Matt Miller took a hit. He was out the entire last series of offense for the Broncos. I've been watching him on the sidelines. From my eyes, it looks like he's favoring his left leg. Now, whether or not he's going to come back in, he's turning right back around. He's got his helmet on, but it does not look like he's going to come back in for Boise at this point on this offensive series.
Yeah, that's a good call there, Jamie. I noticed it too. He's been banged up. He's taken some shots tonight, and I mean, the Broncos can't afford to lose a Matt Miller and what he means to this team. They've got a comfortable lead here at the start of the fourth quarter. They're going to try and win this game without him, because they're going to need him as they get into conference play next week against Air Force. As that ball may have came out. The Cajuns think they have it. That would be a ill-timed fumble for Jay Ajayi.
Line judge says he's down. So second down coming.
He may have been down, but as a running back, look at the look on his face. You have to still protect that football no matter what, whether you're down or not. And that's just been problematic for Ajayi.
Nothing much doing on second down for Ajayi. Ball's loose again there, but let's go back to the previous play.
Let's see if he's got that 6 points of pressure through the contact zone. Hard to tell from that side. They're in there digging. They just pull away. Yeah, but it looked like his left knee was down at the bottom of that pile.
Matt Miller, by the way, nearing the Boise State career record for receiving yards. Already has the record for receptions. That's complete. Burrows near the first down. So that means, if Boise State doesn't need Matt Miller today, then he'll have a chance to break that record next week at Air Force. Game again we'll have on CBS Sports Network for the fifth-year senior from Helena, Montana.
Yeah, he said if he wasn't playing football, or when he's done, he wants to be a roper. Be a cowboy.
Spoken like a guy from Montana.
I mean, that's what they do. That's how they roll. He's a big physical receiver, really tough. Talked to him at the Mountain West Conference Media Days in Las Vegas this year, and one of the questions we asked him is, if you weren't playing wide receiver, what would you be playing? He said, I play safety because I'd like to hit people.
Flag down.
Delay of game, offense, penalties 5 yards, fourth down.
Penalty number 8 against the Broncos. Now Matt Miller, you see the receptions first, second, so he is climbing up that list. Titus Young has the record, so Miller's 59 yards short of that receiving yards record. Punt fielded near the 40-yard line, and that's McGuire. Nothing much. Cajuns had a touchdown last time they had it. Still trail 31-9. Next Thursday, your football week starts on CBS. The Giants against Washington, NFC East showdown. Big-time matchups go prime time Thursday night football on NFL Network and CBS. Kirk Cousins, solid week 2 after the injury to Robert Griffin III, and now Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk. When he was at Michigan State, everyone said this is a guy who can be a productive NFL quarterback, and now here he is.
Those blue eyes, it's all the eyes, all in the eyes. Hey, how about the day that Michigan State quarterbacks had last week? Brian Hoyer, Drew Stanton, all those dudes came in and balled out.
McGuire dropped by Bo Martin. Things going in reverse again for the Cajuns.
See that inside pressure. He timed the blitz perfectly. You have to be able to account for all the defenders. When you have a nose for the football and time it out, it makes it very hard to be able to pick that up.
Broadway complete. That's Pierce out of the backfield.
Might have been a face mask on that, but that's the same play that they've been using, is that simple swing pass out to the flat. Give the football to their playmakers out in space. And you look, tonight so far, Lafayette before that last play had 212 yards. 80 of it was on the drive that preceded this one.
Resulting in the only Cajun touchdown. They missed the PAT, hence the 9 on the board.
6 first downs on that last drive. They need some more of that here.
Broadway out of the pocket. First down. Broadway goes scrambling and goes down right around the 37. Flag may bring it back.
Yep.
Holding, 70 offense. Penalties 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat, third down.
Michael Quave, the younger brother of the right guard Daniel Quave, 67. I've always said, as an offensive lineman, you're not holding, you're not trying. But I think Quave on this one held a little too much. He's going against Correa right there. Man, Correa's going to have to file a restraining order on my man.
He nearly stole his shoulder pads.
Try and keep him inside, big guys. Try and keep those hands inside.
Broadway incomplete.
Correa got there again. And one of the things I noticed about Quave was that he sagged in his pressure. He was so worried about getting beat that he wasn't physical and didn't hold up formidably when he was getting rushed against, and he would sag and bring himself to the quarterback exactly like he does on this one. He sags too much, and Correa is able to get there right as Broadway's trying to throw the football. As an offensive tackle, you have to be firm out on that edge and be passive aggressive, and that time Quave just wasn't.
Dante Dion hobbles to the Boise State sideline. Cadona, the senior from Darwin, Australia, hangs that one inside the 10. It'll squirt out of bounds right around the 2. Cadona. That's why he was the national punter of the week this past week. Boise State on the Ragin' Cajuns. Louisiana Lafayette, 7:46 here in the fourth. Aaron, do us some justice on this surprise team.
Yeah, I was impressed with what I saw from Kansas State against Auburn. I think that they're going to give Oklahoma game, and Utah. Keep your eye on them in the Pac-12. I think they're going to be able to make some noise in Missouri, man. You just cannot lose to a Big Ten team.
Ajayi just does get out of the end zone to the 1 after the 57-yard punt by Cadona. Ajayi manages to get out of there.
Seems like Boise's offense has lost its sense of urgency. They seem to be a little bit lackadaisical. Their defense on the other side of the ball was missing tackles. They feel like the game's well in hand, but this is the sharpness that they're going to need to have as this season progresses, and they certainly haven't had that in the fourth quarter here.
Ajayi again out of the end zone. Fuquay on the stop. Boise State 1-0 in the Mountain West. The win over Colorado State. Next week it's at Air Force. First trip to Colorado Springs.
Ajayi got contacted at the 1-yard line, and the ball is now sitting on the 4. That was 3 extra yards after contact that he got. That's what makes him such a good runner. Running behind his pads, as they say, Carter.
After only 39 yards rushing a week ago on a difficult surface at UConn.
Wonder how long they left the sprinklers on the field for.
That's some quality H2O.
Ooh. Oh!
Incomplete. Incomplete. Off the hands of Williams Rhodes. Nearly pick 6, which is why Aaron Taylor was jumping out of the booth.
TJ Posey, that true freshman that's filling in for Trey Johnson, had his hands on this football. They just tried to run a simple tunnel screen, but Shane Rhodes couldn't bring it in. That could have been a heck of a play. Might have been made this thing a little bit interesting, Carter. Force the punt. Still nice 3 and out.
Still an opportunity for good field position. Whale from the back of the end zone. Elijah McGuire.
He can return this.
Backed up to the 50. Here's McGuire straight ahead inside the 35. McGuire popped at the 25-yard line. So the Cajuns down 31-9, but inside the 25.
Carter, tonight this defense for the Broncos has been lights out, particularly against the run. They've just been so stout inside, winning their matchups across the board. There's just been no room to run. They've harassed the quarterback all night when he's tried to throw the football, but they're tackling extremely well and made it very hard for the Cajuns to get anything going offensively except for these last couple series in the fourth quarter.
About half the Bronco fans have left as we approach midnight here in Boise, but the Cajuns trying to rally straight up the gut. That's Pierce. Well, it's Cajun football, first down inside the Boise State 15. Always the head coaches say, hey, even in a game that you win, you want to have plenty of correctable things to keep your team focused. I think Brian Harsin and his staff are going to have plenty of correctable items one way or another out of this one. Broadway inside the 10.
That was a zone read. You saw some pressure off that backside. That was the correct read that Broadway made, which was a pull read when the in-man on the line of scrimmage comes down and attacks the dive guy. The quarterback's supposed to pull that ball, and that was a good decision by Broadway to pick up 4 yards there.
Harris. Third down coming for the Cajuns. Weaver in on the stop. And Alonzo Harris, the senior who has over 2,700 career rush yards, is going to have to head back to the sideline. Only 8 rushing yards for the senior.
Well, he's more of a downhill physical type runner. And as good as Boise's been inside the tackles tonight against the run, he's just not the best back for him. It's clearly been McGuire and his speed that's been more beneficial.
Pierce makes the grab, takes the pop at the 8. Fourth down coming up.
That was Chancellor James coming up with a nice tackle, but there's no question that this is 4-down territory here. 3 points doesn't do you any good here. Score a touchdown, gets you to 16, possibly 17 if you go for 2.
4th and 5 for Terrence Broadway and the Cajuns. On the rollout. Incomplete, was going to be well short of the first down anyway. So the Bronco defense comes up with a stop, a 31-9 lead, 4:02 to go.
College football on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. By Verizon. Get NFL Mobile included with the More Everything plan, exclusively from Verizon. And by Icy Hot Smart Relief TENS Therapy.
Beautiful Capitol building in downtown Boise, Idaho. Sandstone walls. We got a look at that before breakfast at Goldie's today. I think some of our crew checked it out on Thursday as well. AP Top 10, AT.
Yeah, man, some interesting stuff. Florida State squeaked one out. Oregon looks like it's going to be able to pull out a win against Washington State. Alabama looked dominant against Florida today. Amari Cooper, what a receiver he is. Oklahoma got pushed a little bit by West Virginia. And LSU, that's the biggie, man. Mississippi State, this may be the year. Dan Mullen getting his first big kind of signature win.
Oh, this is Demas. Wide open, Devin Demas. One touchdown already today. Not bye-bye yet. Tracked down by Javonte Watson from behind. Demas breaks a huge one. He had only 15 rushing yards coming into this game. The sophomore from Houston, 73 on that rush alone.
Javonte Watkins was lined up as the backside slot cornerback and comes all the way across the field. Demas, one of the fastest players on this team, certainly fast enough to play wide receiver, got walked down by Watson, who was on the opposite side of the field.
Hedrick to Fields. Brother Hedrick keeps it. Corey Trim there on the stop. Now Boise State, with the help of that big run by Demas, by keeping Lafayette out of the end zone. Looks like the Broncos are headed towards 3-1 on the road next week at Air Force. As we talk about consistency for Boise State, even in a 31-9 game where there's impressive numbers, still a lot of mistakes. Fields dragged down from behind by Javonte Watson again.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Carter. There's a lot to correct. Next week, you and I are going to call that game out in Colorado Springs against Air Force. Nevada looking like it's got something in the tank this year that can make things interesting. But that October 24th game against BYU, I know it's not a Mountain West Conference game, but as these group of 5 champions try to jockey for position and have impressive wins, that could be Boise's signature win this year at the end of the year, assuming everything else goes well in conference, that they can point to as to why they deserve to be part of the New Year's Six Bowl.
Fields hit from behind. That's Christian Ringo, the defensive tackle. Forced 3rd down.
There's a lot of good pieces to this Cajun team, and Ringo's one of them. They've got a pretty good defensive line. There's something missing so far early on in this season. Granted, they've played a tough schedule, but this is a team that a lot of people thought preseason could win the Sun Belt, and they've got a lot to correct before that could become a possibility.
On 4th down, 33-yard field goal attempt is good for Dan Goodale, who's had a rough night, missed twice, but the senior from Timberline High School boots that one through to make it 34-9 with a minute 27. So for the Ragin' Cajuns, the good news is they have not yet entered Sun Belt play, where they were favored. That begins against Georgia State. Arkansas State, the big one, on October 21st.
Yeah, that's always the big game. Those are the 2 favorites, the teams that typically win the Sun Belt. They've got some work to do. Appalachian State's not a walk in the park. They've got some big pieces of this team, some big players that they need to get back off of injuries, most notably Jamal Robinson, the wide receiver. Trey Johnson, the inside middle linebacker. But that pass defense on that back end, Carter, that's going to be a problem for him.
Inside college football coming up next. Live, Brent Stover, Christian Fourier to take you through the full day of college football action.
It's a good thing we're sponsored by 5 Hour Energy.
Yep, I hope they got some rest. We talk about guys playing on Sundays. We're usually talking about the NFL, but we're 5 minutes away from playing on Sunday in the Mountain Time Zone.
If you're watching this game right now, you really love football.
I am. Goodale's kickoff. Carter from the goal line. Boise State thinks they have a fumble recovery.
Oh, man.
That's Taylor Pope who comes away with the football, but they're going to say it is Cajun football that Carter was down.
Yeah. Good call.
I'll say this about the Raging Cajun fans. It's been 3 straight years they've gone to the New Orleans Bowl and won the New Orleans Bowl. I was there in 2011 when they played San Diego State. I have never seen more rolling coolers through a hotel lobby than the Raging Cajun faithful. Broadway complete to Pierce. It has been 3 straight years the Cajuns have been to the New Orleans Bowl in 3 straight wins. You go back to that dramatic 50-yard field goal to beat San Diego State in 2011. That was the first bowl win. You have to go back to the 1970 Grantland Rice Bowl. It was Division II back in the day. Broadway forced out. Cajun team has won 9 games each of the past 3 years. Again, the silver lining in this bad start, 1-3 now, is that they still have a Sun Belt Conference ahead of them beginning 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot of football still to play and a lot left to play for. It's going to be incumbent upon Coach Hudspeth to make sure that his team doesn't go in the tank, and they realize that this season's far from over for the Cajuns.
Broadway's pass incomplete. Boise State 42 seconds away from going to 3-1. NOS is the phrase Brian Harsin taught us. Not our standard about some of the penalties and mistakes. And Boise State's going to have this win in comfortable fashion, but still going to be some moments in that film room when they go back over this one and say, hey, this is not how you get to be a championship team.
No, and it's foolish penalties were the primary culprits. There's going to be a lot that they look at that film and really like, and particularly on the offensive and defensive lines. Coach Harsin can say what he wants to and point out all the flaws, but the bottom line was his team was dominant tonight and clearly the most physical on both sides of the football. Pretty good front that they blocked up for the Cajuns. This young offensive line for Boise's got some potential. Talking with the coaches, they really like what they're going to have moving forward.
Ryan Finley, the redshirt freshman, in at quarterback just to take a knee and wind this one out. So the Raging Cajuns' first trip to Boise, Idaho is an unsuccessful trip. Ryan Harsin and the Boise State Broncos are 3-1, heading to Air Force next week on CBS Sports Network. Now 9 straight home wins for Boise State. Ryan Harsin's 3-1 as the Boise State head coach. 88-4 back to 2000 on the blue turf. Cajuns fall to 1-3. Jamie is with Jay Ajayi.
Jay, over 500 yards of offense for you guys, but a pretty split between the air and the ground game. What was working for you guys all game that you saw opening up for the run?
We just really put in a great week of practice this whole week, preparing for this great team ULL, and we really just made sure to make an emphasis to get a lot of push off the line of scrimmage and just get downhill football going, and then just try to get some balls up to our receivers to make big plays, and we were able to do that tonight, be balanced.
But we could see some frustration from Coach Harsin with some of those penalties. Discipline ever a factor for you guys?
Definitely. I mean, those were very uncharacteristic things that we were doing in the red zone, especially. I mean, when you're in the red zone, it's really time to really get disciplined and make sure you do everything, all the little details. So we were making those little mistakes, and we knew those were points that we weren't getting on the board. So we're going to go into practice this week ready to make sure that next week we're going to be good to go.
All right, Jay, happy homecoming. Thank you.
Thank you.
187 yards of total offense for Jay Ajayi, 3 rushing touchdowns, and Boise State wins homecoming 34-9 over the Ragin' Cajuns from Louisiana Lafayette. Boise State 3-1 on the year, headed to Air Force next week. For Aaron Taylor, Jamie Hurdall, our entire crew, I'm Carter Blackburn. A 34-9 homecoming win for the Broncos on the blue turf. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Broncos win again at home. Now we send you back to Brent Stover in New York.